What's going on, everyone? This is Kevin Breeze here, and in this video we're going to be comparing the Umidigi F1 to the BLU Vivo XL4. So without further ado, let's get started. So both of these devices are available GSM unlocked, and what that means is that they're going to work on any GSM carrier. So in the United States, these are going to work on AT&T and T-Mobile. They're also going to work on Metro by T-Mobile and Cricket, but they're not going to work on Verizon or Sprint. Now, these devices will also work really well in Europe and Asia, where GSM coverage is really widespread. And what's great is that since these devices are factory unlocked, you can easily switch them from carrier to carrier, and it's literally as simple as removing your old SIM card and replacing it with your new one. Now, the Umidigi F1 is available for $219.99, and the BLU Vivo XL4 is available for $149.99. So the Umidigi F1 is $70 more expensive than the BLU Vivo XL4. Now, the F1 features a 6.3-inch display, and the XL4 features a 6.2-inch display. Now, you can see here that both devices do have notches on the top, but the Umidigi F1 has a smaller teardrop notch, and the XL4 has a wider notch, which is similar to the design on the iPhone XS. The F1 features a 1080p display, and the XL4 features a 720p display. Now, despite the display on the XL4 being lower in resolution than the F1, it actually looks really great, and honestly, I really like the displays on both of these devices. If anything, I actually think that the BLU Vivo XL4 has a better looking display just because the colors are richer and brighter, and honestly, when you look at this phone and you look at the display on here, it almost seems like this screen is a sticker that's on the front and it's not even the real screen. But the truth is that that is the real screen, and it does look that bright and sharp. Now, you are going to be getting, of course, higher resolution with the F1 since it is 1080p, and there's definitely a solid argument to be made that this display is superior to the XL4's display due to it being 1080p, but really at the end of the day, I wouldn't let the displays in either of these devices be a reason why you would choose one over the other, because they both really do have awesome looking displays. The F1 features a 19.5:9 aspect ratio, and the XL4 features an 18:9 aspect ratio. So on the F1, you're going to have a taller display here than the XL4, but both devices feature similarly sized displays, of course, and the XL4 is slightly larger than the F1, and the F1 has smaller bezels than the XL4. You can see, especially here in the bottom lip here, the bezel on the bottom here is definitely wider than it is on the F1, but really, it's not that much wider. So overall, I think both of these devices have a really sharp and modern design. So design-wise, both of these devices are very competitive in 2019. Now, both devices, of course, feature a front-facing camera. On the Umidigi F1, we have a 16-megapixel front-facing camera here, and on the BLU Vivo XL4, we have a 13-megapixel front-facing camera, and we also have a front-facing flash. Now, that's a pretty interesting feature, having that front-facing flash, and there is no front-facing flash on the Umidigi F1. Internally, the Umidigi F1 features 128 gigabytes of storage with the ability to expand that storage with a microSD card. And the BLU Vivo XL4 features less storage with 32 gigabytes of internal storage, but you can also expand that storage with a microSD card on the device. Both devices feature fingerprint sensors on the back here, and neither of these two devices support wireless charging. Also on the rear, we have the camera modules. So on the Umidigi F1, we have a 16-megapixel main camera and an 8-megapixel secondary camera. And on the BLU Vivo XL4, we have a 13-megapixel main camera with a 2-megapixel secondary camera. You're going to be getting portrait mode with both of these devices, which is awesome. Now, the Umidigi F1 features 4 gigabytes of RAM, and the BLU Vivo XL4 features 3 gigabytes of RAM. The F1 runs the MediaTek Helio P60 processor, and the XL4 runs the MediaTek Helio P22 processor. So you're getting a much better processor with the Umidigi F1. Video recording with these devices both cap out at 1080p at 30 frames per second, and the battery capacity of the Umidigi F1 is 5,150 milliamp hours, which is massive, and the battery capacity for the BLU Vivo XL4 is 4,000 milliamp hours. So both devices feature very large batteries, so you're going to have no problem with battery life on either of these two devices. Now, despite the BLU Vivo XL4 having a lower capacity internal battery, it also won't use as much battery power due to the less powerful processor and the 720p display. So with both of these devices, you're going to be getting about the same battery life. Now, software-wise, the Umidigi F1 features Android 9 Pie, which is the current version of Android, and the BLU Vivo XL4 features Android 8.0 Oreo, and at the moment, it's unknown when or if it will be updated to Pie. So now that we've compared the specifications of these two devices, let's now compare the hardware. So we already kind of went over the display technology here, with the Umidigi F1 having the 1080p display at 6.3 inches, and the BLU Vivo XL4 having the 720p display at 6.2 inches. Now both devices feature on-screen Android navigation buttons, and then up top here, we have the notches with the front-facing cameras, earpiece, and on the BLU Vivo XL4, we do have that front-facing flash. Now on the right side of these two devices, on the Umidigi F1, we have the door for the microSD card and the SIM card, and on the BLU Vivo XL4, we have the exact same thing. On the right side of these two devices, we also have the same configuration here with volume rockers and power buttons. On the top of the Umidigi F1, we just have the noise-canceling microphone, and on the top of the BLU Vivo XL4, we have the 3.5mm headphone jack. On the bottom of the Umidigi F1, we have the 3.5mm headphone jack, microphone, USB Type-C port, and the speaker. And on the BLU Vivo XL4 on the bottom, we have the micro USB port and the microphone. So it is pretty disappointing to see that the BLU Vivo XL4 has a micro USB port on the bottom instead of USB-C. I definitely would have preferred to see USB-C on the BLU Vivo XL4. But I suppose that's one of the compromises that you have to make to save $70. And again, on the back side, like I mentioned before, we have the camera modules, we have flashes, we have the fingerprint sensor, and we have the logos for the two brands. And on the BLU Vivo XL4, we have the rear-facing speaker. Now both devices feature metal on the back and sides. Now on the BLU Vivo XL4, the metal is a little more pronounced. It feels more metal-y, if that makes sense. But on the Umidigi F1, we kind of have this like special finish here over the metal that almost makes it feel like plastic. But I've cross-referenced on a variety of sources that even though this feels kind of like plastic, it really is metal. Overall, I think I prefer the build quality on the Umidigi F1. I just feel like the rear of the BLU Vivo XL4 just kind of absorbs too much grease from my hands, and my hands are never even greasy to start with. So I really do like the hardware on the Umidigi F1 better than the BLU Vivo XL4. But I think both are relatively good. I don't think one of these is amazingly better than the other, so you're not going to be disappointed with the hardware on either of these two devices. They definitely both feature high quality builds. Alright, now that we've compared the hardware and specifications of these two devices, let's now do an unscientific speed test doing some commonly done tasks on the phones. So we're going to start off by starting up the camera here to see which device starts the camera first. So 1, 2, 3, go. And definitely in this test here, the Umidigi F1 was faster at starting up the camera. Let's now start up Google Chrome. So 1, 2, 3, go. And the Umidigi F1 was definitely faster at starting up Chrome. Let's now start up Yahoo.com. 1, 2, 3, go. And Yahoo is faster to start up on the F1. Let's now go to Engadget.com, one of my favorite websites. 1, 2, 3, go. And it looks like it was about the same. It kind of seems like in this test for Engadget, the XL4 was actually pretty quick at starting it up. And it looks like, yeah, actually this ad is playing first on the XL4. But it was pretty close here. You can see scrolling is smooth on both of these devices. So that's not something you need to worry about. Let's now start this article here. 1, 2, 3, go. Looks like that test was pretty close, but it looks like the Umidigi F1 was faster at starting up that article. Alright, so this concludes my comparison between the Umidigi F1 and the BLU Vivo XL4. Again, the Umidigi F1 is available for $219.99, and the BLU Vivo XL4 is available for $149.99. Now, those are the prices right now at the time of me making this video, but I know that both of these brands are constantly changing the prices for their devices, so I definitely recommend taking a look at the affiliate links in the video description so that you can see what these two devices are currently offered for on Amazon. Now, there's a lot of factors here when trying to decide which device is the best of the two. I'm definitely interested to see what your opinion is and which device you'd rather buy. Of course, there is a price difference here again, so it's a $70 price difference between these two devices, and that carries a lot of weight. I mean, $70 is a lot when you consider that these devices are around the $200 price range anyway. I'm sure everyone who's watching this video is convinced that the Umidigi F1 offers the superior specs over the BLU Vivo XL4, But I'm interested to know if you think this is worth $70 more. Now for me personally, I think these are both great options. I don't think one's really bad and one's really good. They're both great phones. I think you'll be happy with either of these two, and I've personally spent a lot of time with both of them. But again, let me know down in the comments what your opinion is on these two devices, and if you plan on buying either of them, or if you own one of these two devices, let me know what your experience has been with them, and I just want to hear your full story about your experience with either of these two devices. But thanks again for watching, everybody. This is Kevin Breeze here. Make sure to like the video and sub to the channel, and I will see you in the next video. Take care and have a great day. Bye.